Ever since I got into acting, I've been hearing this myth that actors will book 1 in 10 of the auditions that they go for, and the myth was almost right. And in this video, I'll show you exactly why. Over the last 16 years, I've auditioned hundreds of times for TV, film, and commercials, and I've tracked every single one of them so that I can tell you what the odds really look like for someone who's actually in the industry. By the end of this video, you'll know how close the 1 in 10 idea really is to the truth, what your own audition numbers might be saying about your own progress, and why your results aren't as simple as they look. Because if you're spending money on headshots, showreels, classes, and even sacrificing time, stability, and even shifts at your side gig to make sure that you stay available for auditions, you need to know if it's worth it. Otherwise, it's easy to feel like you're not moving forward, or worse, to give up too soon. So is the 1 in 10 hit rate real? What do the numbers actually say about progress in this industry? And if your hit rate is not where you'd like it to be, what can you do about it? Let's find out. So I split my numbers in 2 categories: narrative fiction and commercials. Narrative fiction covers anything where the story itself is what will be consumed by the audience. So films, TV series, short films, that kind of thing. Commercials are made to sell you something beyond the story that they tell, whether that's a product, a brand identity, and for that we're looking at ads, corporates, ident, even music videos, because they're meant to sell you a song, an album, or even the artist's brand identity. Now here's what the numbers look like. So for narrative fiction, 149 auditions, 17 bookings, that's an 11.4% hit rate. For commercials, 231 auditions, 18 bookings, giving us a 7.8% hit rate. And when you combine both, that's 380 auditions, 35 gigs booked, bringing the overall hit rate to 9.2%. That's pretty close to that 1 in 10 average that I kept on hearing about. But when we take a closer look at the numbers, we notice a few interesting things. The first thing being that the work is not evenly spread out. If we look at this chart that represents the amount of auditions I've attended over time, each increment on the x-axis represents a 6-month period. The top line shows you all the auditions I've had within a given period. The bottom line is all the auditions that got me on set. Those are the 10%, the successes, and they're almost never evenly spread out. Just look at these peaks. I was hitting 18%, 31, 40, even 50% rates. Now compare them to these stretches where I'm not booking anything. We're looking at quiet spells that can last 18, sometimes 24 months, which to me highlights how crucial the need for a second source of income is to get you through those quiet parts, especially at the start of your career, but sometimes it can be throughout your entire career, because the A-listers making millions per projects are the exception. And at that stage, going without income for months at a time could be devastating. So whether it is a part-time job or two, another freelance side hustle, some might have tapped into the influencer economy. Some might have the means to live off investments and dividends. Some might be lucky enough to have family members or partners that are making enough to subsidize them. And some are creative enough to figure out sources of passive income. Whatever it is, having another source of income can help you get through those quieter times. And being financially responsible won't hurt either. It wouldn't be the smartest move to spend all the money that you've made during a busy year in that same year, because you just don't know when the next gig will be coming in. Even if you're in a big budget film or even a series, you've done your job, you got paid, but you don't know if that sequel or that second season will come in, which means you don't know how long it's going to be until you work again. And you don't know if they will bring you back. For all you know, they could be making a prequel that's set 100 years before your character was even born. And more importantly, you don't know if that next installment will get made at all. You could guess, but you don't know. The second thing that I've noticed is that not all gigs are the same. Some will have you working for longer periods of time, some will pay more than others. We're looking at the differences between a walk-on part or a day player part that has no lines to a character that appears in 5 scenes across 2 episodes of a series to a lead in a feature film that is in 90% of all the scenes. So when I look at my 40% strike rate of early 2009, we're looking at 10 auditions that led to 4 shoots, for which I was on set for a total of 3 days and only said about 2 lines. And don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed being on those shoots, especially considering it was so early in my career. I was ecstatic to even be involved. But when we're talking about hit rates or success rates, and I know success and how it's measured is very subjective, those shoots and what they entailed are a very different proposition than, for instance, late 2022, when my hit rate was 18%, but I was working on 3 different projects for a total of 12 days and got to perform about a dozen pages of script. I loved all of it, but if I had to choose what kind of season I'd rather have more of in my career, and I can only choose between those 2, I would rather choose the one that essentially had the lower hit rate. But that is if I get to choose or get some sort of say in the matter, which takes me to my next point. Do not blame yourself for what could essentially be blamed on the auditions you never got. Whatever your audition success rate is, it is a number that can only exist in relation to the amount of times that you've actually auditioned. So with my hit rate of 9.2%, if I'd auditioned 100 times, I'd have booked 9 jobs. But 1,000 auditions would have got me 92 jobs, and so on. But most actors have very little control over what they get to audition for. And I'm aware that that's not exactly a solution, but that's perspective. If you're not working as much as you'd like to, the reason is probably not because you're not good enough. It might just be because you're not getting enough auditions. And understanding that could stop you from spiraling into self-doubt and help you focus on what you can control. My final takeaway is that the numbers do not paint the full picture. What you don't see in this chart are all the screenings, festivals, networking events I've gone to over the years. You don't see the relationships I've built and kept along the way. Another thing that you don't see are the projects that I booked without auditioning. One came from a director that I'd met on a filmmaking workshop who later recommended me to a friend of hers who was making a short film. And another happened because the filmmaker had seen me in a short film that I directed years earlier and then reached out. And here's the interesting part. When I made that short, my hit rate wasn't that great, but I guess the seeds that I was planting back then were growing in ways that I wasn't aware of and I just couldn't see. So if your hit rate is not where you'd like it to be, there are things that you can do that will still shape your career, like going to film festivals and actually interacting with people there, attending workshops, whether that's acting workshops, filmmaking workshops, writing workshops, events, maybe networking events, or even expos where filmmakers go to find out about the newest bits of kits, latest trends in the industry, and where they're a lot more open to conversations. Creating your own work, get together with other actors and write a script and reach out to writers, to directors, producers, cinematographers, casting directors about working together, about getting your film made. Best case scenario, you'll end up making a project that you can be proud of. Worst case, the project doesn't happen, but you've opened up a conversation with people in the industry that could one day think of you for a project. At the very least, you won't be another actor whose headshot, CV, show reel has ended up on their computer screen. You'll be someone they recognize, someone they had a meeting with, someone who is active. And that could make the difference when someone is considering casting you in something. Auditions don't have to be your only way in. But I would like to hear from you. If you are an actor, what is your hit rate? And make sure you include how long of a period that hit rate covers, whether that's 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5, maybe 10 years. And if you are interested in making your own work, more specifically your own short films, then check out this playlist where I post videos about things that have helped me make short films of my own that I've written, directed, as well as acted in.